the ground really hard, pick myself back up, put my shoulder back in.
That's when things started to degrade.
And at that point I became severe, uncontrolled hypothermia.
Less than 100 miles from the finish away.
Hi, I'm Ricky Gates, your host for Mountain Missteps for the Trail Running Film Festival. Over the years, I've had my handful of injuries and missteps on adventures both big and small, and as a community, I know that runners want to share the knowledge we gather along the way. This makes it safer to traverse the places that we love and that inspire us. Today we'll be learning from Kirstin Woody about her hard-earned lessons while climbing Mt Stuart in Washington State. We'll also be picking up expert insights from Dr. Wilson, Medical Director with Backcountry Medical Guides. So let's tune in.
Hi, I'm Dr. Courtney Wilson, an emergency physician, trail runner, and medical advisor for the trail running program with Backcountry Medical Guides. Anytime you prepare to go into the wilderness, you need to understand where you're going to go, what you need to do to stay safe, and I'm here to talk to you guys about that today.
Hello, my name is Kirstin Woody Scott, and I am currently an emergency medicine resident at the University of Michigan. And my adventure portfolio, if you will, has really been inspired by my hero, my big brother, Gavin here.
My name is Gavin Woody, and I'm an executive at Porch here in Seattle. I'm also the former board president of the Mountaineers and a board member of the Northwest Avalanche Center.
I had wanted yet again to follow in Gavin's footsteps to try to run the Bigfoot 200. It would have been my longest ultra to date. I've done a number of hundreds and other distances, but this was definitely sort of what I felt could be a perfect exit to the Pacific Northwest of just really traversing that beautiful terrain. We had plans for kind of a big push, kind of my last training run. So that was sort of, at least from my perspective, the build-up for our Mt Stuart adventure.
So the most important part to any trip is preparation. And preparation goes hand in hand with prevention when it comes to making sure that you have a successful adventure. Most people are pretty familiar with the basics of trip preparation, meaning they get a map, they check the weather, they think about food and water, making sure that they know where they're going and what their resources are going to be like when they get there. But equally important is thinking about who you're going with and what the abilities of those participants are. That sometimes people won't actually feel comfortable saying that something is out of their skill set, and it will be up to you, the trip leader, to identify the skills of everyone in your group and make sure that the adventure you have planned is really well aligned with the people who are participating.
We snapped this photo together at the trail entry. It felt like a wonderful reunion because we were about to go adventure together, and he's my favorite adventure partner in the world. It was a beautiful day. I was super strong. I've been doing like 100-mile weeks in terms of my training. And
we had helmets, ice axes, and crampons as we ascended the Cascadian. Being on snow with crampons and ice axe is actually more secure, given the right conditions, is actually better than being on loose, rocky terrain.
We had definitely just passed 9,000 feet because I remember looking at my watch and seeing the elevation gain. So, and the summit's at 9,800. And so we were kind of on that last turn, kind of home stretch to get to the summit. And at that turn, I had made a step, had my ice axe in, always having multiple points of contact, and my left foot slipped. It happens like that. And it's a surreal moment where, I was cognizant I'm falling and I'm trying to self-arrest. I could hear Gavin saying self-arrest, self-arrest. But the nature of the fall was not this controlled slide. I kind of fell backwards and was tumbling essentially. But then everything stopped immediately when I crashed into this truly miraculous feeling rock pile. And thank goodness, I mean, the helmet was also life-saving. That if me catching that crampon with my ankle kind of was what forced me into that rock pile, that might have been the life-saving injury for me.
An important part of prevention and preparation is thinking about what might happen if the unexpected happens and you are forced to spend a night outside in an unfamiliar environment, which might actually be very cold. So thinking about special equipment that you probably wouldn't need if everything goes right, but that would be potentially life-saving, like a headlamp or an emergency bivvy, are things to think about when packing for your trip.
Felt like forever, just methodically, placing my ice axe every step, down climbing, getting a secure foothold. Wanted to get to her as quickly as I could, but do it as safely as I could.
And so I was just looking up at the sky thinking, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm able to at least think I can move all extremities, because I think just in my medical training, we think about ABC, so airway, breathing, circulation is sort of our trauma training, if you will. As Gavin was kind of making his way down to me, at least communicating like, okay, like, pretty sure it's fractured. I could see it misplaced. I could see blood. Panicking is not useful.
When you're assessing an ankle injury, there are a couple of key things that you want to think about. First, what is the color of the person's foot? Does it have normal color? Second, can you feel a pulse? There should be a pulse on the top of the person's foot, and if you feel a pulse, that's a really good thing. Third, can they bear weight on that foot?
It was a warm day. I mean, I was climbing in a tank top and running shorts, but we had all our extra gear.
Kier had her puffy jacket, put a raincoat over that, gave her puffy pants. I had rain pants, so I wore those. And then also got this insulated pad out to get her off the snow.
Well, I don't think there was ever a point of debating, do we need to call for help? Gavin had his Somewhere app that was able to at least reach out to Sarah, his wife, to kind of start the discussion about like, we're in trouble and we may need help. As
we were communicating back and forth, we actually heard voices, and we actually had started calling after them, and it turned out they were climbers that had ascended the North Ridge. And so that was a great relief, even though we had enough gear to, stay there, overnight or until the rescue occurred. Just having the extra help there. They had extra gear. They had a sleeping bag.
It raised to say, go Army, beat Navy, but the Navy really saved the day with us, both Army and the Navy, as Gavin was critical to my rescue as well. Once the search and rescue was activated by my sister-in-law, that opened up all those back channels of them discussing, okay, who has jurisdiction and who has the air assets to actually get into what is a really challenging mountain. And so the U.S. Navy, their Seahawk helicopter is really the only thing equipped to navigate that terrain. We were up there 6-7 hours waiting for this rescue, but hearing the sound of that helicopter was one of the greatest sounds of our lives. These incredible heroes who are just, they risk their lives to protect us, who love the mountains and do these rescues throughout the Pacific Northwest. They're just incredible.
I'll move on. Nice to meet you.
Kirstin, thank you so much. I know it happens.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, it happens all the time, especially out here.
some of those just the rotor wash could have blown stuff around. That was the other reason for us to start descending earlier than before Kier got picked up, and then seeing, what I thought, which it was Kier in the basket with a headlamp on, coming up, to meet the helicopter, not in the middle of the night, but definitely, full darkness was a pretty crazy experience to see that happen.
This is the last ride in my life. I'm going to have fun on this one. So I will say getting lifted into that chopper was a great adventure. And it was the most beautiful view of Stuart, because the moon, just sort of the way it was lighting up, kind of just the outline of the mountain. It was beautiful.
So all in all, I've been fortunate to have a lot of experience in the mountains. And I think my key takeaway from this whole experience is that, bad things can happen to very experienced people. A lot of times we think that accidents only happen to people who are inexperienced, but actually accidents can happen to experienced people. And so the takeaway here is that we need to be prepared if an accident does occur, so that we can take care of ourselves, either self-extract, or in this case we had to call for a rescue, and we were able to be safe until that rescue occurred.
I mean, the only way to not get injured in the mountains is to never go to the mountains. And they are a wild and beautiful place. We cannot predict every step. And so to the degree that we can mitigate the chance of putting ourselves in, excessive harm, putting others, like our search and rescue colleagues, at excessive harm or risk is really important in making those decisions.
I hope you enjoyed learning about Kirstin's adventure, and that this illustrates how important preparation is to making sure that you're safe. And we hope that you will consider learning more about advanced wilderness life support and education. And if you like this program, you can also find more at backcountrymedicalguides.org. Where there are trail runner specific programs and a lot of different options out there for getting this super essential education. Thanks.
Hopefully you learned a thing or two from this mountain misstep. We'll be recording a bunch of these to offer more tips in the future. If you'd like to be featured on a future episode, contact James at trailfilmfest.com. And thanks so much for joining us.